And as we continue to celebrate the achievements of our sportsmen and sportswomen, our deaf athletes are protesting. We'll find out why. Also, lots of focus on many of our athletes. You know, we've been paying attention to our able-bodied athletes, our Paralympians, our Special Olympians. Well, we're going to be hearing from our deaf athletes or a representative and finding out why they're upset, why they're concerned. So stay tuned for that as well. 6:45, that's sports time, and 7 o'clock, our hot topic segment. As I said, we're talking to representatives of our deaf athletes to find out what they're concerned about. Why did they march, in fact, yesterday? And we'll also have sports, 6:45, 7 o'clock. We are going to be having our hot topic segment. And on to our other issue that we're going to be talking about. Over the past few years, we have celebrated our athletes here in Jamaica, and it's nice to see that a lot of that celebration has in fact been extending to sportsmen and sportswomen other than the traditional ones. You know, we've been paying a little bit more attention, for instance, to our Paralympians, our Special Olympians, and so on. But our deaf athletes yesterday staged a march to Jamaica House, and joining us to tell us why, we have with us Peter Kavanaugh, who is a Public Relations Officer of Deaf Sports Jamaica. Thank you so much for joining us on Beyond the Headlines, sir.
Yes, good evening to you and your listeners, Dion.
Great to have you. So tell us now, why did the athletes march?
Well, what happened is that we were formed as a group in 2010. And from that point on, the objective was to actually get to participate in the Deaflympics, which is held every 4 years. Jamaicans might not know that there is an event called the Deaflympics. They have heard about the Paralympics, they have heard about the regular Olympics, but in fact the Deaflympics perhaps started from as far back as 1923, when it was known as the World Deaf Games. It was in the 80s that they actually adopted that name, because they tried to be a part of the Olympic movement at that point. But they found out later on that, in fact, the system would have to be different than for the Paralympics or for the regular Olympics.
Okay. Well, I can tell you, personally, I don't think I've ever heard of it. So tell us a little bit more about it. What's involved? Is it as many sports as you would see in the Olympics, for instance? What are some of the disciplines?
As many sports as you'd see in the Olympics. I mean, from your soccer to your athletics to your swimming to your table tennis. I mean, it's all there. It's just that, to an extent, like I said before, it's not highly publicized this side of the world, because in the past we have not really had our deaf communities being as organized as they should. But we had a vision from as far back as 2008 about trying to get a table tennis team into Chinese Taipei, but unfortunately the economic downturn came and we were not able to move ahead. But it was from as far back as that we made contact with the International Committee of Sports for the Deaf about securing membership for Jamaica. 2010, we actually formed a steering committee, and then we had the first National Sports Day for the Deaf at Manchester High School by November. We have had 3 of those sports days, the last one being in November at the University of the West Indies, about 2-day period, where even at that event we had the Honorable State Minister, Natalie Nita Headley, as our guest speaker. And at that point she indicated, of course, government's commitment to empowerment of the deaf athletes. She actually indicated that she was supporting our attempts to actually make it to the Deaflympics. And the standards that we had to reach, and we have 11 athletes who actually made the Olympic qualifying standards.
Just before I ask you a little bit more about those, I think I saw here that you said we have actually never sent even one athlete to the Games.
Jamaica has never done that, because there's a Deaf Paralympics, there's a Deaf Olympics, and there's a Deaf Athletics Championships. Those are 3 major events that take place on whether they are biannual or every 4 years. And so we have no record of that. As a matter of fact, the only Jamaican Deaf Olympian that we do know of is a chap by the name of Ron Smith, and he lives in Canada, and he has actually represented Canada at about 7 of these events during the course of his life. So it is something that is totally new, but it's also something that the deaf population, which might be as much as 10% of our population, they're persons who do have some amount of hearing impediment. They're very much interested in seeing our own representatives making it there, you know. The budget that we have looking at. It's not a very large budget compared to the other delegations that are sent out, because it's somewhere in the region of about 8 million to carry maybe about a delegation of 15 persons or so. We have approached Corporate Jamaica. The one corporate entity that has been consistently supporting us the last few years is Juicy Patties. That's Mr. Jukichin and Edith Chin. But it would seem that every time we try to highlight what we're doing, and we've been successful even last year when we sent about 4 athletes to the World Deaf Athletics Championship in Toronto, and they never did too badly. But for some strange reason, the deaf program just don't seem to be sexy enough for some people.
How did they do, the ones who sent?
Well, some came actually, they came like 4th place.
Okay.
And that was without formal training.
Okay. You say right now we have about 11 athletes who made the qualifying marks. In which disciplines?
No, in athletics.
All in athletics?
Yes, we are starting from there, and we're going to try to build out the program. We do have, at the annual sports day, we have 6 different disciplines that the deaf participate in, ranging from your 6-a-side football, your netball, your table tennis, you have the kids in athletics. That's our thing. We can't really do everything at once because the resources that we have, although we're on SDF books, it's not really as large as we'd want it to be. You know, it's something that we have to go over time. But I can say this, we do have at each National Sports Day for the deaf, we'll have as much as perhaps 350 athletes participating on any one day, and it's a 2-day event.
How do you balance now the concern? People are going to say, boy, you know, we're so stretched. We have so many different areas we're trying to, so many different sports and disciplines we're trying to throw money at. I mean, you have the reggae boys and what's happening there. You have track and field. You have netball. There's so many things that some people might say, boy, we can't take on anymore.
Can't take on anymore. I mean, in a country like Jamaica, I think a lot of people will say, boy, you might see the deaf, but they don't really hear them. And it is a sad fact of life that seems to be the case in this country for now. We do sign all international protocols. We do have the Constitution which guarantee the equity among all our citizens. And if we were not to make it to this particular one, where we're supposed to be admitted fully and formally, because they have accepted our Constitution, they're going to induct us into the international body. And if we have no representative there, this will be a major embarrassment to us. And worst of all, for the athletes who have been practicing from last year. I mean, it's very difficult. Some of them, most of the training takes place in Kingston, but they'll actually travel from Mandeville. There are a number of them who will travel from Mandeville almost on a daily basis in the evening to go and practice.
Really? I have a text here from a listener, Brian, says, the Deaflympics, wow, there's so much to be done for the deaf in Jamaica today. I attended a deaf national spelling bee competition held in Mobay, and I saw no media personnel to make it public. It is truly a silent world. And you mentioned there that issue of equity. Is it that you see the sporting competitions as another way of helping to reduce the imbalance that exists then?
Of course, because what we have done, we have actually gone so far as we have a dialogue with the J3s, and they have been helping to facilitate us in terms of making our athletes sometimes participate against the hearing persons. Granted, the signal system that we have to use is a little bit different. So yesterday's meeting actually at the Jamaica House, the PM, as we know, is off for a few days, but Mr. Delana Franklin, our advisor, was actually there to receive us, somebody I've known for a number of years in another capacity. And he was quite attentive to what we had to say. He did not commit the government fully to perhaps underwriting what we require, but they'll be making some explorative ventures to see what can be done. Because the timeline is very, very short. I mean, we need to be in Bulgaria by the 23rd of next month. There are visas to be secured and that sort of thing. But we're hoping, because the letter that we actually sent to the Prime Minister, the content speaks to the fact that we're encouraged and heartened by the fact that she had appointed Senator Morris as the head of the Senate, which we think is a very good move and coming at the right time. And we also mentioned that, yes, we had support, we have seen the support given to the Paralympians, etc. And with perhaps 10% of Jamaica being guessed in some way, that is a significant part of the population that we want to realize our own Jamaican dream. We want to find our own get Usain Bolt.
Yeah, I'm going to have to leave it there for today, but we're going to keep in touch and follow up Mr. Kavanaugh. Can I thank you so much for your time this evening? We do appreciate it.
Okay, thank you very much, because you're the first media host to actually have made this inquiry following our outing yesterday. But thanks again, and all the best.
Yeah, man, that's beyond the headlines for you. That's why I must keep in touch with us. Peter Kavanaugh talking.